Hello, hello. That's Rebel Renaissance Radio. This is Chad Warren. It's 6:24 p.m. to 8/2025. Hope you're well. So this is a snapshot of a recent episode of Threshold Saints with host Jen the Ninja and the two Zachs. Rest in peace, Zach CK and Zach Schumar and the series is about Tracy Twyman and the hyperspace kingdoms. This idea of like, oh, you go to Disney World and it's the happiest place on earth, and it's a magical kingdom within the walls of the park, and how I still haven't seen the movie Tomorrowland. I can't believe it, but that's all. But it's discussed about this breakaway civilization. Um, there's so many ideas like that, but just the idea that there could be, you know, a whole different dimension that's right around the corner. You could go a zillion different ways with it, I think. But so on this focus of what I'm picking up here that I wanted to highlight is about race and religion. And it's interesting just to snapshot this and see how this conversation develops, talking about identity and race and the problem, which I think is important. I've been hearing, thinking this and hearing it a lot these days about it's wrong to think in terms of black and white. That's this Freemasonic mind control reductionism, kind of like how on Twitter they reduce us down to however many characters. And yeah, that can be positive and that it makes you be concise and poetic and stuff, but it's also could be used as a form of censorship, and it is. And likewise, the black and white thing, it just to cause this polarized division that's artificial. And because really we're all, the one of the guys, I don't know who says, I can't wait till I can, say racial talking smack to other white people, the Italians, you got the Irish and etc. And that was funny. And then about Jen, I agree with what he's saying there. I have a lot of that feeling of like there needs to be this peace, this cooperation between the exoteric and esoteric aspects of Christianity. So let's just take a listen to all that here. Oh, where is it? That's my name. That's not it. Sorry, I'll get better at learning how to use this. I thought I knew where the thing was. It should be. Oh, here it is. It's over here. Okay.
Like the hyperspace kingdoms. It's like a little bit beyond our perspective.
Perception.
Yeah, perception. That's a perfect word. Thank you, Zach. So yeah, it's very similar. These are all overlapping kinds of ideas.
And it also might be like how we were mentioning last episode. We live in a solar age,
Hmm.
so it would make sense to follow a
Mhm.
solar calendar, just like it
Mhm.
makes sense that we live in a heliocentric, that's our conception of the cosmos at the moment.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, this is actually very insightful because this is something I do think about. Christ and what I think, or Jesus and what I think, and Christianity and what I think. And obviously, I'm if people believe it, like
Hmm.
all the power to you. Like that's great. Then you should use that if that's what you want to believe. Then you should take that story and you should reach the apotheosis or the end result of that surgical method, and you should embrace it like as much as you can.
Yeah, my
Mhm.
problem with Christianity, or I guess Christians, is that most of them do not do that, and they
Mhm.
tend to be the most aggressive between them and Muslims of
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
Christ is king, like all knees will bow. And it's like this is all literal. Like that's a Gnostic heresy. They're very adamant in their thing, and it really repels me away
You know
from.
that this is the truth, is that like every religion has their pros and cons. Every
Yeah.
system has its pros and cons, and every religion also attracts people of that kind of dharma.
Well,
Now, I'm
and every religion has its, exoteric and its esoteric elements
Hmm.
too.
and that's sort of what the whole thing I'm thinking of like right now is like, how can we synthesize the two? Because it's not like I obviously recognize that institutional religion in general, ad hoc, has decayed to a significant degree. But
Hmm.
we also have to say the same for esoterica. If you're going to say
Yeah.
the thing about one, you have to say it about the other. They're entwined.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So,
especially like, the new age occultism. So like let's be Thelemites or
I mean,
whatever bullshit
Yeah,
nowadays.
not
I don't
not to
even
yeah,
be
know.
like a not to be like a fact checker or anything, but this is what they would say is more context needed.
I think
Yeah.
that the problem is there's so many people who want to LARP at a religion rather than actually do it. I'm not saying to do it is easy. I'm not saying that I'm perfect in doing it. I'm not even trying to tell people to do it. I think outer tool is useful if you have no tools. If you have nothing to do, learn to do a rosary, because that will help you more than doing nothing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's people who don't even like, they just like the outer presentation or the identity. And I think something's
Hmm.
interesting. Like, I was never really an identity politic person, but of course I have a little bit of Hapa supremacy or whatever, like as a LARP, or maybe a little, it's probably a little true as well, to be honest, but not like where I was like, I'm like, oh, I'm the best. I don't think that, but I
Yeah.
definitely think like, yeah, we have high median IQ, like whatever. I'll just like,
It's a good mix, I
right.
think.
So I'm just like, I just own it. So I think like it's cool with me. But what I mean is I think people like identity politics so much.
Don't have their own identities.
That's right. They need
That's
them
really
Yeah.
what it comes down to.
That's 100%. They're not comfortable in whatever they are. What if that is a
Hmm.
they don't like that. So okay, so change it. But that doesn't mean changing your label or changing your
I
property.
ag- I agree, but I would also say that I do think racial consciousness is somewhat important, especially like you'll see it with white people now.
Say that.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
they have no sense of it anymore, and maybe it's because of that term white.
Yeah, it is.
There's
Hmm.
It's
especially
It
like
pushing
is. I think that's exactly what it is. It's the term white. It's
yeah,
you're creating a new race of white people out of European people.
yeah. In America, it used to be like we have the Anglos, and then we have the Irish and Italians, and
Hmm.
everyone used to hate the Irish and Italians. And it's
uh,
like, when can I start being racist to other white people? Is my
Yeah. So
question.
yeah, it's funny too because like Italians used to be known as swarthy. They weren't white; they were
Yeah,
swarthy.
yeah. And there's even some Irish people that they call Black Irish that just
Uh
have like
huh.
the darker features.
Okay, let me just say for the record, I have said this on Twitter, so no big deal. But like, if you want to do white identity politics, or like, I agree that white people need a racial consciousness at the very least. But you
Yeah,
got to figure it the fuck out. Like, you can,
that's what I think.
yeah, you
Just
cannot let
because
these
there
people.
does seem to be, I hate to be even that guy. I'm not all about this, but white people's identity in general are kind of being attacked by certain elements. You
Well,
can
but
see it. You
also,
see it on Twitter. You see
Yeah.
it in the media.
I was just gonna say that like I see it being set up as like a false dichotomy.
mhm.
Like
Yes.
you're putting these quote unquote white people against these quote unquote black people. The whole scenario is just ridiculous because in the white section there's 100 different nationalities, and in the black section there's 100 different nationalities, and all they're really doing is splitting the population up, being like, oh, it's literally the Family Guy meme of him holding up the thing. Oh, you're good, you're bad, and then for the other side, just flip
Yeah.
it. Oh, you're good, you're bad. It's like we're doing this. Uh, it's almost like a nonsense game to just keep people
Hmm.
like distracted, obviously. But what it really does is just creates like these really really biting divides with people where nobody wants to even like you'll see someone say 2 plus 2 is 4, but if they're on the other side of the aisle you would disagree with them, and I'm just like, we're getting people to deny reality because they don't like the side that's saying it.
Yeah, and I think even those terms, black and white, like white people aren't really white, black people aren't really black. So it's just saying that white and black are the opposite. So, go at each other. It's like a chessboard.
100%. No, totally
Bingo.
true. This is post-racial. See, what you're saying is actually real. Like, you do need a bit of racial consciousness. You do need to know what it is. You need to kind of like reconcile it in yourself, like very alchemical, right?
Hmm.
You have to reconcile the paradoxes of race, just like I've had to, just like we've all had to post 2020, especially. But you can't go far wing not either, because that's like being like, that's what that when people say horseshoe theory, when people used to tell me that when I was like 20 or 22, they would be like, oh, like being far left is the same thing as far right, and I could never see it back then, but now I
Yeah.
see it so obviously. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of something
Yeah,
that's very
there
extreme
is some
of
truth
each
to
other.
it.
there is definitely truth to it for sure.
100%.
So I just feel like, I do think a middle pillar approach, but I also think that doesn't mean have none. Like, I'm for white
Yeah.
people having their racial consciousness for sure. And I also think sometimes binaries can be useful, but I think that the ones that they push on us, like as labels, are always the ones that are not useful.
I hope you enjoyed that. Tell me what I should highlight from a show next. Thanks for watching.